If you're feeling behind in life, this video is for you. What's up, everyone? My name is Tyler. I'm 28 years old. I do not have a job currently. I do not have a driver's license. In fact, I've never had my driver's license. The highest I've ever had was a driver's permit. The amount of time I've spent driving a car probably consists of one 30-second experience. So I'm not particularly experienced when it comes to driving. When it comes to the job front, I have had jobs before. Probably a little too many for somebody my age. I've had over more than a dozen jobs. I first got into the workforce at age 18 while I was a high school dropout. I was able to get back to school and become the first in my immediate family to graduate high school. And it's not like I haven't kept busy in my life or I haven't challenged myself in my life. And that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about this feeling of being behind because it's been lingering a lot within myself, and I'm sure other people can relate to this. As it pertains to delayed milestones, whenever I go on LinkedIn and I see that friends that I went to high school with or friends I made in my first 2 years of college working towards my bachelor's degree, or they're in law school, they're attorneys now, they're in med school, they're doctors now, they're working for Fidelity and other prominent, eminent financial institutions, and they're making excellent money and they're making a good living for themselves. They're stable, they're grounded, as far as what I could tell from what they post on social media. And I know people tend to only post the most glamorous things on media. Just because they have all those things, it doesn't mean they're happy. According to the National Alliance for Mental Health, for instance, about 36% of young adults, that's the age range of 18 to 25, so I missed the cut a little bit, but 36% of young adults suffer from a mental illness. And as someone who has bipolar type 1 disorder, I can personally testify to the impact and detrimental effects that having a mental illness can have on your well-being, your stability, your ability to be grounded. And that's the other thing I want to talk about is just the prevalence of mental health. I mean, 36% of young adults, that's more than a third of young adults suffering from a mental illness. That's much higher than the general population, although even the general population has a pretty significant problem with high mental health rates. The National Center for Education Statistics in 2023 found that 20% of people aged 25 to 34 were either unemployed or not in the workforce. And I'm part of that demographic. The most recent job that I actually had was working as a shift manager at a pharmacy retail chain. I only had that job for about 6 or 7 months, and my bipolar depression took hold, and ultimately I take responsibility for it. But to deny the role that depression can play in such major life decisions, I think is very naive, and it's very regressive and indicative of holding some very outdated beliefs. Man, I just feel so stuck. I feel so behind. I feel so out of it. I don't feel like myself because in high school I did achieve a lot. Even my first 2 years of college, I achieved a lot. So like in high school, my senior year, just to give an example, I was taking 4 advanced placement classes. I was participating in 3 extracurriculars that were incredibly time consuming: mock trial, a speech competition, and DECA. And I did very well in all of these extracurriculars. I was working on and off throughout my senior year in order to make ends meet. But since then, it seems like I've kind of been on a downward trajectory. I'm unable to keep jobs for a reasonable amount of time. This is especially the case in the aftermath of my bipolar diagnosis. A significant event happened in my life during my junior year of university. I mentioned a few times how I've done my first 2 years of college. Well, that's because my junior year I suffered from a 6 month long manic episode with psychosis, during which I experienced a lot of delusions and even hallucinations. I was hospitalized 2 separate times. I posted all kinds of crazy things on social media, made a fool out of myself, and it had a lot of consequences. By the time my mania had ended, I had been kicked out of school, I had been kicked out of my college frat, I had lost all my friends, I had lost my job working for a chamber of commerce, the first job I had where I was actually making decent money. And so it all hit me like a Mack truck, and ever since coming out of mania, I kind of been in this same place. Since 2022, my circumstances haven't changed that much. I mean, I'm not as depressed as I once was, but I do still have a lot of negative thought patterns. I'm still very hard on myself. So, yeah, I'm not sure what the future holds for me, to be honest. I aspire to go into law and become a social security disability attorney. I want to help people with disabilities. I feel like it would be very intrinsically rewarding, and it matches my skill set and my competency and my background in public speaking, and I love writing, I love reading. So I want to just stress, like, it's not like I'm doing nothing with my time. I mentioned how I go on LinkedIn and like I'll see people talk about how they're lawyers, and they're attorneys, and meanwhile here I am reading a book about a law school student in 1975 who attended Harvard, and he talks about his trials as a first year Harvard student. And I see people working in the political arena, and I'm out here reading books about how to win political debates. Like, we're just not the same. I do feel very behind from my peers, but one of the lessons I've come to learn is that it's okay. We all follow our own timelines. I mean, I suffer personally from a mental illness that affects about 2.8% of people, bipolar disorder. It's a severe brain disorder. And if you're new to my channel, I have more than 90 videos in my playlist Bipolar Breakdown where I talk about my experiences with the condition, whether it be in mania or depression or when stable. And so that's kind of my purpose right now, is I'm just trying to inform and spread awareness about mental illness, and hopefully feel people, yeah, I can't even talk right now. Yeah, I'm a great public speaker, by the way. Make people feel less alone, less alienated in their respective journeys, no matter what it is that they're dealing with. So I hope this video made you feel less alone. If you're struggling with life, this video was for you. And thank you all. Peace.